Do you ever find yourself worrying about things that haven't happened? Worst case scenarios that may never happen? We call these type 2 worries, and I'm going to be talking about why they happen and why it's so hard to stop worrying about them. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about type 2 worries. Worries about future or potential problems, problems that haven't happened, problems that may never happen. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a replacement or substitute for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those two things out of the way, let's start talking about type 2 worries. So this video is a continuation of our series on worry management. So we initially started by talking about a basic engine of worry. We talked about the fuel that drives the worry engine, something we call intolerance of uncertainty. We talked about beliefs about the usefulness of worry, these common beliefs that people will have that worry is serving some potential benefit. And most recently, we've been talking about type 1 worries, worries about actual problems that are going on and more effective ways of solving problems to help address those worries. So in this video, we're going to be shifting away from type 1 worries and focusing on type 2 worries. And as I've mentioned in an earlier video, type 2 worries are worries about future or potential problems. Problems that haven't happened, problems that may never happen, but still a person worries about them. Now, the thing about these type 2 worries is that they tend to tap into the core fears that a person often has. So these type 2 worries tend to be about the most scary things that we fear or that we dread happening. Worries about failure academically, failure in life more generally. Worries about losing a job or a relationship breakup. Worries about you or someone you care about becoming very sick, or a family member dying in a motor vehicle accident. These types of things. So these type 2 worries tend to be quite scary and quite upsetting when they come up. So if you think about it, if you catch yourself worrying about one of these really sort of scary core fears, what's the most natural thing, the most natural reaction to do with those worries? Well, for a lot of people who worry a lot, and for a lot of people who don't worry a lot, the most natural thing when these unpleasant worries, these unpleasant thoughts about future negative events come up, the most natural thing to do is to try and push those thoughts out of your mind. Try not to think about them. And it makes sense. If these thoughts bring up sort of images or thoughts about things that are really distressing or really upsetting to think about, it's natural to just want to avoid thinking about that in general. It's something we call cognitive avoidance. So pushing these thoughts, suppressing these thoughts from my mind so that I don't have to think about the thing that's so upsetting that obviously I don't want to think about. Now, this cognitive avoidance may make sense on the surface, and it's kind of the most natural response to these upsetting thoughts. But one experiment, one little exercise I do with my clients to sort of explain how this cognitive avoidance works is to get them to, for 1 minute, to think about anything they want to think about. Anything at all. But in that 1 minute, I get them to try really hard not to think about a pink elephant. So they can think about anything they want to think about, just not a pink elephant. And so I start a timer and I get them to think about whatever they want, just not the pink elephant. But if they happen to think about a pink elephant, I ask them to make a mark on a piece of paper each time the thought or image of a pink elephant comes to mind. And usually what happens is in that 1 minute, I see them really start to struggle. Either they start to kind of laugh, or they start to roll their eyes, but they're making marks on that sheet of paper. And what ends up happening at the end of that minute is they've thought about the pink elephant a lot. And so I often ask them a few follow-up questions, like, how many times in the past week have you thought about a pink elephant? And usually the answer to this question is, well, I haven't thought about a pink elephant at all. And then I ask them, okay, well, in the past week, how much effort did you put into trying not to think about a pink elephant? And they tell me, well, I wasn't trying not to think about a pink elephant at all. And so I point out, well, isn't it interesting that in 1 week of putting no effort into trying not to think about a pink elephant, you didn't think about a pink elephant at all. But in 1 minute of trying not to think about a pink elephant, you thought about a pink elephant multiple times. We call this the paradox of thought suppression. The more you try not to think about something, the more you end up thinking about it. So, relating this to type 2 worries, if I'm avoiding thinking about these type 2 worries because they're really upsetting to think about and I don't want to think about them, and so if I'm trying to deal with these type 2 worries by pushing the worries and by pushing the thoughts out of my mind, it's essentially me doing a pink elephant with these worries. I'm trying not to think about it. And by trying not to think about it, all that really does is it causes the worry to come up over and over and over and over again. And each time it comes up, I try and push it out of my mind, which means it's just going to come up again. And then I'm going to push it out of my mind and it's going to come up again. So the reason why these type 2 worries keep coming up is often because a person's trying not to think about it. And the harder you try not to think about it, the more the worry is going to keep coming up. So it's this really kind of self-destructive, self-fueling cycle. I liken it to trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The more pressure you put to hold that beach ball underwater, the more pressure there is for the beach ball to keep popping up. And then you grab it and you push it back down again, and it pops up, and you grab it and you push it back down again. But it just keeps coming up. And so while this cognitive avoidance on the surface seems like the most natural thing to do when these type 2 worries come up, it's actually one of the factors that's maintaining the type 2 worries. So that leaves us with the question, okay, if trying not to think about the type 2 worries is what's causing the type 2 worries to come up over and over and over again, what can I do about it? Well, the answer to that question is something we call cognitive exposure, and I'll be talking about that in the next video. So I hope you found this video helpful. I know it's a bit of a strange idea, strange concept, this notion of the paradox of thought suppression. The more you try not to think about something, the more you end up thinking about it. But just spend some time thinking about this over the next few days. You can do your own pink elephant exercise. Take some time, take a minute. Think about anything you want, but try not to think about a pink elephant. See what happens. And so what we'll be talking about in the next video is what we can do to overcome these type 2 worries if cognitive avoidance isn't a very good solution. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this, so please leave me some comments down below. If you're enjoying my videos and you'd like to see more of them, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll be alerted whenever I post a new video. So thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.